Afternoon. This is the Town of Harpswell's Budget Advisory Committee meeting with the Board of Selectmen and our town administrators, Christiana and Terry Godette. We are here today, we don't have an official agenda, but to review the Budget Committee's recommendations for the 2025 budget. And I thought we would start, you have a couple sheets in front of you, but not a full booklet. We have one that looks like this. No, they don't have one that looks like that. Okay. Forget that idea. We will start with the one that looks like this. And the committee. Yeah, we did. We asked for just to see what it would look like with the LD limit calculation. And even though that's not required anymore.
No, but I was curious about that.
Yeah, we were curious too. We came in under LD limit, if we had one, by roughly 114,000. Yeah. So now going to the long sheet that you have, and committee members, I had told you I'd have a report for you to look at today. I don't. But roughly what will be in the report are things we're going to discuss today. So I'm going to start at the top here. Just go down them quickly. Anything that has there's some with significant increases, and maybe we want to start with those. And they are particularly in the, so now I'm jumping to the bottom. Projects, capital reserves. And even though that amount went down, there are 3 projects in there that went up. And one of them is that we are, for the recycling transfer station work that hopefully will start next fall, I think he is asking for.
For this fall.
Well, that, I think of next, as in fall of 2025. He doesn't want it happening during the height of the summer when we have lots of people here. So that reserve, 200,000 was added to that. Another reserve that got the same amount, 200,000 added to it, was the emergency service vehicles, and that is for a new truck, I believe, at Cundy's Harbor. And then the other one on there that's not, Capitol Roads, big one there, 400,000, and that includes work on Oceanside Street, Little Island Road, and Peabody. Oh, I'm not going to forget Peabody. It's been on the list
Mustn't
forever.
forget Peabody.
Yeah. It's a significant amount of work that is expected to happen this coming summer, and so $400,000 was added to that account. While I'm on this page, also, the Resiliency and Sustainability Committee has asked for an additional, to put 24,000 into their reserve because they are spending that right now, so that they keep a reserve of $100,000. We have detail more. Do you need to see what's happening with that committee? Evan's looking. Okay, no, you don't. All right. Then, okay, jumping back to the top. There are some significant increases, but they're not huge amounts. Public information is increasing cost of printing those annual reports and possibly more bulletins during the year, and postage is going up as we all know. For committees and commissions, planning board needs more money because of mailings. Is that what you said? Yeah, and they went over this year. They went over, of course, with all the construction and rebuilding that's been going on. They went on over this past year, so they need to raise that amount. The old townhouse, the request is to put 26,420 in there, and that is for continued maintenance, and to help, hopefully, get the gravestones cleaned up in the cemetery behind that, which is town property. Any questions so far?
Good, going.
Okay, I'm going. Risk management, 41% increase, and that was, we had workers' comp go up and increase in our staffing for firefighters, and that insurance for them is pretty expensive. Terry, you wanted to say something?
I'm happy to bring a update. A good update is while our salaries are increasing, the actual rates per category for workers' comp actually went down. So they always have to send us late December the cost for 2025 for the following year, and they had all of our salaries, but I compared it to last year's, and each category's rate went down, and we can reduce this category by $15,000.
And that's risk management, not
Risk-
employment.
Risk management, 1,300.
Right, okay, great.
Perfect.
Great, all right. Contingency was used up this past year with legal expenses, so we need to replenish that account. Special projects, even though it's down, there are some increases in there. A little more than 100,000 being added to the amount for the townwide assessment that's going on. It was supposed to start in 2024, didn't, it's starting in 2025?
They've been doing some preliminary
Oh,
work.
okay.
So they have been meeting with staff. Is that on? I gotta talk close.
We can hear you.
So Vision Appraisal is a company out of Massachusetts. They've been contracted by the town. We did think they would start earlier, although, you know, this is the time of year when there aren't many people necessarily in Harpswell, so delaying it a little bit is not a real problem
Right.
at this point. It's expected to be completed in 2026, so there's time. And they're working on rolling out sort of the public information campaign that will be done in the beginning, and one member of the board, Select Board Member Johnson, is the sort of designated Select Board member and assessor who's working closely with the assessing office on the implementation of the project.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
We try to keep them busy.
Also, there's the Marine Hazards Reserve in there, increased or new, and I can't remember which. But we know we had significant marine hazards this past year. So that's in that special projects account also. Jumping down,
How much was that, the marine hazard?
I,
Did we add more onto that?
we did, like 10,000 more, I think.
Correct. It used to be $10,000, used 200 one year, and then this year with all the storms, we wiped out the 9,800. So the harbor master asked for it to be greater, particularly with more hazards, not just the significant storm like January, but there was removals of whale,
Mammals.
sharks.
Yeah.
Critters.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And actually, since we're mentioning that, in the harbor masters, his line item is going up also. Increased hours, I believe, for his deputy, and an increase for attending to derelict vessels and moorings.
And also rental of an office space.
Oh, that's right, yes. How did I forget that?
And then I'm also here to say that at the select board level, I'm mentioning it since we're all together, that budget will have to requested to be increased by another $3,000. You may recall the whole radio project and how much of the funding was provided through the state. They did cover some of our radios here, but not the Harbor Masters radios. So we are using the balance of ARPA funds, but $3,000 is needed to go in conjunction with the ARPA funds to buy the new digital radios for the Harbor Master and the Deputy Harbor Master.
Thank you. Good news, public safety street lighting went down as we expected with the new lights that we have. Jumping down to the recreation lines, down at 6,400, below that. The Trufant Somerton Field, they need an additional $5,000 to they have a paving project at the beginning, as the entrance to that field. And part of that is, the estimate is around $10,000. Part of it is going to be paid for by the land trust, sharing there. And rec programs also, and not a huge increase again, but percentage-wise, yes. $5,000, and that is for trails and swimming.
The trails, the paving.
Oh, and the
at-
paving.
The
No,
paving
I
at
have paving under Trufant Somerton.
but there's paving at Devil's Back.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. I had that in my notes, too. Okay. Did I skip any? Oh, the Department of Safety, I did jump over that. Yes, we are adding one regular part-time firefighter and a couple more per diems, and the plan is to have 12/7 coverage, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, which we didn't have before. So the weekends will be covered now. This is all good. Thank you. Thank you for saying thank you to us, but I'm going to thank these guys over there.
That's teamwork.
Teamwork, absolutely, absolutely. At Mitchell Field, work to be done at the generator building and the Century building, some maintenance there. How many did I skip in? That's on this sheet. Before I go to the last item, which caused us quite a discussion, I'm just going to mention.
Yeah, don't want to do that.
I did skip over it. Cemeteries, there's a small increase, but we're very pleased to hear that Cranberry Warren Hill, that's been struggling for years to have a caretaker, has someone now taking on that role, and they're working to have more of a caretaking role and
More of a positive.
well, yeah. But however, because they're not up to speed yet, basically the town is paying for all of the mowing over there, $7,000 for that. Whereas the other 4 cemeteries in town, we are helping with mowing for veterans' graves, sorry. Yes, Mackin.
We urge them Cranberry Horn very, very strongly that they create a fundraising effort, which they have not. They're very receptive to these ideas, just figuring out.
I'm glad somebody stepped forward over there. It was kind
Yeah.
of dangling. The Darlings did it for years.
2 people.
Oh, good. Good
Dave,
cemetery.
good. I see Dave looking. Do you have a question, too? No. Okay.
Absorbing all of this.
Say that
Yeah,
again?
we'll have one.
Oh, you're absorbing it all? Good.
He's a sponge.
Absorbing is good. All right. So the other thing that we had quite a discussion on is the Energy and Technology Committee's request for $12,000 for a consultant. And we invited the chair of that committee in to talk to us. And then we had, after that, discussion amongst ourselves about it. And we are strongly recommending that if we move forward with this idea of getting a consultant, and we understand the need for it because there's no one in this building who has that kind of knowledge, that it's done in 2 phases. The first phase would be for this consultant to look at what we currently have, how is it working, why isn't it working? It seems like we're having a problem with it, and what can be done about that. And if something does, if it does look like that's gonna work out, great. If not, come back to the select board and ask for additional amount of money for the consultant to continue and look at alternative energy sources such as panels on the roof or panels over the parking lot or something like that.
Well, when they come back to us, where's that money coming from? Is it, I'm
Okay,
trying to see where it is in the budget.
Oh, okay, it is under resiliency.
Okay, okay.
So, but not, so the concern is that we just don't go in willy-nilly.
Sure.
But to have a plan, know clearly what we want the consultant to give us, but do it in 2 phases.
Okay.
Particularly if the phase 1 shows that it's really not working for us, the plan we have now, which is having bought into a solar farm. Committee?
With respect to the solar farm, it's frankly unclear. Is this based on a billing problem? Snafus, creation of the billing, who gets billed, or is there a broader issue? Just selected the wrong mode of getting sort this out.
Yeah, I think we went with the solar farm because that's what was available at the time, and now the Energy and Technology Committee is looking at maybe it would be more efficient if we did it ourselves. This is why they wanted someone that knows what they're talking about to address it.
But the key to our discussion was look at what we have now.
Yeah,
and figure out what is working with that, or why, if it's not working, billing issue,
Yep.
so forth. And it was summarized very nicely by Harry in our minutes from the December 16th meeting, if you want.
Go Terry.
Don't put her on the spot. We'll figure it out.
I believe that's all I have to say, committee.
I think that's all you have.
Yeah, just, I had a couple of things. Being the new kid on the block, this was my second time through this process, and one minor observation and then one probably more significant but extraordinarily familiar to you all. One is that the town's charitable giving, which I have no objection or comment on per se, reflects, if I got this right, basically continuation of precedent. My suggestion is that the council, along with staff, really consider it a zero-based budget, meaning if you were going to take this lump of money all over again, are those the institutions and the amounts you think best serve the interests of the town, Harpswell, in terms of the efficiency, equity, whatever the characteristics are by which you make these judgments, should be done as whole cloth. And I don't think this needs to be a regular kind of thing, but I think periodically it's important to go back into budgets and re-ask, why are we doing this and why are we doing this in the amounts doing it?
So an arbitrary number. Was that line 6,000 you're talking about cultural?
5,300.
5,300, okay.
And that's more a next year, it's a next year kind of thing.
Isn't it more of what these places have, what their ask is primarily? Is How we got here? What these
I think we
organizations asked for.
established a level, depending upon the number of people that were served in Harpswell, what their budgets were. You know, we kind of stuck with that format. But we have treated some of the organizations that provide more direct services to Harpswell, like Harpswell Aging at Home, when they've asked for more, we've entertained it. Mid-Coast Hunger Prevention has a food pantry here in the town office. We've entertained more funding for that. Otherwise, we kind of had this structured format of organizations that had a certain budget and what their revenue sources were and how dependent they were on, you know, town funding. We had these different levels of, was it 500, 1,000, and 1,500 maybe, kind of first, second, and third level. And some of the organizations said, even your small nominal amount helps us get grant funding because we can show that we have this municipal revenue source. But I do think a lot of communities in Maine have stopped giving money to many organizations and as a municipal entity. And so maybe there are some on our list that we should, you know, reconsider in terms of our
I mean,
support.
and that's not my suggestion per se, but it is to review it, right? Review it and make sure that it's aligned with the priorities that you have today.
Yeah.
Very hard to say, I mean, none of these institutions are doing bad things, right? It's
Right.
all good stuff, and it's hard to say, I don't want to do this anymore. Having said that, my past experience has been that every once in a while, you need to just go through it, say, does this represent?
I get that.
Yep, okay. And the last one is, the Curtis Library always comes to us as a fait accompli, right? It's a contract, here's what it is, there's nothing to be done. I do recall, in particular, not this year, but prior year's budget discussion, there were a lot of questions by some of the longer-standing members of the committee. And there were not a lot of information availability with respect to use statistics.
I think we get
Having
that.
been on the committee a long time,
Card numbers.
yeah, we've had,
It's not just card numbers, it's sort of utilization.
No, it
rates,
is,
right,
it
and
is.
Things like that. How much activity is there?
we used to get that information, and
Yeah.
what they do is not, you know, I have a card, and I'll have 4 books out at once, and maybe in this past year, I had 100 books total out. Read that many. Anyway, but they would say, Linda used her card at least once this year, and that, but to get individuals and how much they use the card is very difficult for them to track. But they have given us in the past how many people in Harpswell have cards and how many of those cards got used.
I just recall
And it
from
was-
last year,
We have it in this year's application. There's
Right.
2,600 cardholders in Harpswell. Cards used in the past year from Harpswell was 1,417.
right, and that's, again, in my vernacular, that's a good start, but I don't want to get into it again. There was a lot more discussion about this last year. A lot of questions went unanswered. I am merely suggesting to you all that as you consider this again, for the nth time, be hard edge with respect to getting detailed use statistics that illuminate cost of that significant budget item to the town literally based on activity, right? And those may or may not be available, but I suspect. somewhere in
Marge
the
just wanted
recess-
to say something for a few minutes. Go ahead, Marge.
I'm with Dave on this one, and what precipitated this was during COVID. I will give you credit for that, but the numbers were the same, like 2 and 3 years in a row. The one thing that I hear when we talk about spending money on the street is the amount of money spent for Curtis Library. Every bloody time.
And I'll disagree with you.
I know you,
I
I
know,
absolutely.
you know I will.
Absolutely, I'm not offended by that.
Right.
And I know that there are others in this room who disagree too. But that is what I hear. And
It's the most talked about thing throughout the year, and then it goes to town meeting. It's secret ballot this year.
and gets voted every time.
Every time.
It's unanimous.
Absolutely.
But, you know,
Or it's, on secret ballot, it's pretty
Yeah.
significant too.
Historically, the only thing we talked about more was dog catcher. We'd go for an hour talking about years ago. They'd talk about the dog catcher for an hour and a half.
Okay.
Curtis Library comes up.
Yeah, Mackin?
But,
I think behind it too, though, is the technology that now is working, where even a tiny little organization like Cundy's Harbor Library can access every single library in the state.
yeah,
You can walk in there and get any book from anywhere. It takes a little while, but it's there. It's pretty darn impressive.
But
And-
that's
and-
because big libraries are being supported.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And they were here yesterday, I think. Days today, or day before. Curtis Parks. Was yesterday.
No, they're out here now.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
they're here now, all right. I knew I saw him somewhere.
Okay.
You've been here too long.
I did, as a matter of fact. I drove right by. I actually renewed my card, and they waived my late fees.
Yeah,
But we have to fight to get money for Cundy's Harbor and the smaller libraries. It's a
What's,
big-
Well,
I've
not-
never heard
Not
of
this,
fight.
not this year.
I wouldn't say it's a fight usually.
never been a
Usually, or
fight.
Billy Allen.
It's a-
and-
They've always
I'll
been-
rephrase the word. It's a discussion.
Yeah, and I'll say Terry worked very hard on the grant for the County Harbor Library to make sure that went smoothly, so.
We're never criticizing Terry, please know that. You need to know how blessed you
I
are to
don't-
have a Terry.
I
Oh,
guess I'm going to disagree with
I know
it.
I know what she went through, so
They
she dragged me into it.
Cundy's Harbor wanted quite a bit, well, not quite a bit, so percentage-wise, a significant amount more. And all we did, we asked what they were going to use it for. And they came in, and in my opinion, she talked longer and told us a lot more than I needed to know to answer the question. And it was an opportunity for them to tell us all the good things that they were doing
Yeah.
at Cundy's Harbor. Other years, we've had Cundy's Harbor in, Forest Island in, Curtis in,
Oh, excuse me, go around, go down the hallway, Rob, you see. That's all right.
and each of them would talk 20 minutes, half an hour on what they were doing. We just haven't done that recently. But it's good to bring it up.
Oh, yeah.
Were you involved when we had the tour of Curtis?
Not, but I have toured Curtis.
But this was, yeah, you guys all were there. And it was significant. I think people learned things they didn't know about Curtis.
Well, maybe next year we'll put it back on the floor, but there's a couple of other things popping up this year that are going to have discussions. So we figured, well, we might as well have that on a ballot.
Right.
It's important,
Yeah.
but it's getting to be a big number.
It-
Right. Was there anything else we needed? We could go back to our longer meetings. We streamlined things. How many years ago was that?
We don't
6
need-
or 7 years ago, we started streamlining. Every single,
Every social
Yes.
service agency came and described the services that they provide. And then when we looked at how much of the budget that we were discussing, and we were spending an inordinate amount of time on that kind of aspect of the budget
Right.
versus some of the larger items, the capital items, the emergency services piece. So I think the committee was trying to kind of adjust its focus on the items that were costing the town more money.
right, well, we used to have, say, the assessing agent came in and told us about her office and what every department came in and talked to us about, and it's all, a lot of that was very straightforward. So in recent years, we've had fire departments come in and, I mean, we used to have law enforcement come in and talk to us, too. But we have the harbor master come in Can't remember if he came years ago or
I
not.
think the ones you focused on are harbor master, recycling and transfer,
Yeah.
and then the emergency services
Right,
area,
Right,
and roads too,
right,
yeah.
right. Okay.
Are you, you're not proposing that we return to those?
I'm just
extended
saying, we
meetings, right?
used to have these
okay.
huge discussions.
No,
The libraries would take one whole meeting.
yeah.
And we had a couple workshops, I think. I remember one, an evening workshop with the libraries. We can do that again. Terry says no.
We think this is far more efficient.
I agree.
Okay,
Me too.
Streamlined process.
okay, okay.
I think the process worked extremely well this year. Think
Okay.
basically thanks to our chair and thanks to staff doing a lot of
I'm
preparation
gonna
to
thank
make
staff.
that happen.
Yeah, Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, she does.
It does. Answering emails on Sunday night, and not supposed to. So, do you two selectmen have questions for us?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think Jane, she's not here, but
Right,
Jane
Yep.
sat through it all, so.
yes, she did.
yes, she
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
She was here at all our
fine.
meetings. I think she
Yeah,
might have
didn't
missed the
need
first
She was
one or
coming
something.
home early
Yeah, she
from where
was.
she's at. So,
Right, right.
yeah. Nope.
Okay.
Of all the committees, you've got the worst.
We think,
Hardest, I should say.
we think we have the best.
I was gonna say,
Well, what you come up with is the best, yes.
We think we have the best.
I don't know.
When it first got elected, they meant, nah, I'm staying away from that one.
You're essentially our appropriations committee.
Eh,
You are? Yeah.
You guys put it together and we discuss it.
Linda,
Sorry.
Mackin?
I'd like to ask David and Kevin, do you sense that we as a committee should begin to think more proactive things in the future that are going to impact the town in material ways, as opposed to simply looking at numbers as they come and they're
Yeah.
affected by inflation, one thing or another?
Always better than putting out fires, yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
But
ironically.
it's not us, Mac, and it has to go through the
Yeah.
administration.
Yeah.
So
But I'm asking for a policy
Right.
idea.
Yeah, the town is changing. The demographics, everybody's getting older. Our fire departments are aging out, the volunteers.
Right,
Heard a lot about it.
I'm sure,
Yes.
yep.
Yes.
And we have a meeting next week, to discuss a central station, which probably sooner or later it's going to happen in town because the volunteer rates and the people moving to town, they're not of the age where they're going to volunteer to be a firefighter.
But we're all getting older.
We have a lot of ambulance drivers.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about perhaps something bigger, which Linda and I discussed.
That's pretty big.
And Jane and I have discussed, and that's, of course, the impacts of climate change. Where these numbers of like Bethel Point is $5 million,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
things like that, which are huge, and have all sorts of implications throughout the budget.
Oh, Bethel Point's going to be a nightmare.
But there'll be others.
Yeah, oh, yeah, and Basin Point Road eventually.
Mackerel Cove is even more of a nightmare, if you ask me. It's,
But just, the tide comes and goes
Abner
there.
Point, you
Yep.
mean, Abner
Yeah.
Point Road?
But that's a filled-in causeway. My grandfather said he was a bridge there when he was growing up. Little
Right.
Cove and Mackerel Cove were connected, high tides.
Yeah, and the number's lower than Bethel Point at the moment.
Oh,
by
yeah.
engineering study, but it could grow.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure quite how to think about that, and what effective, useful, contributing role this committee can play in that kind of thing, or other groups, and then they feed to us. It's a, I sense we do have a role.
We do, yeah.
We could be helpful.
Is that something that should be coming from resiliency and sustainability?
Yeah, we could
Yeah.
set up a meeting.
Yeah.
That's where the numbers came from.
Yeah.
Right,
I
but
think we're
should,
working on prioritization. at this
right,
point.
right.
We've got the studies, we have the
And
numbers.
they give us the information. Would that be amenable?
Yes,
Yeah.
we have no capability of developing the numbers ourselves.
No,
And I appreciate that committee a lot, all the committees in this town.
But it is a new role, an expanded role.
it is.
The question is it just make work, or is it really help?
Well, there's the chair right back there looking at me.
I think they're helpful.
maybe she'd like to speak.
Would you like to speak? Here she comes. But we're talking about your
Talking about
committee.
climate resiliency projects and future costs, and having a conversation with the budget committee and the resiliency and sustainability committee about prioritization, future projects, budgeting, that type of thing.
Next
Oh, I
October.
don't know when.
Next October.
And whether or not it's just make work.
Next October, right.
Let's all cross our fingers there are any more big storms.
What we are
so good.
working on this year
hold it close.
is we're working on a plan to present to the town, a financial plan of how we're going to handle the costs themselves when you have to start doing more than just evaluations and you have to do construction. So we're starting to just talk about putting together a plan to submit to the select board to review, to think about how we're going to actually handle the spending. And that'll tie into the financial plans that you have at the town level. And we'd love to talk to the committee about that when it's done.
Big part of that.
Yeah.
Whole complex.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I do think it's going to come more from our end as to what the projects coming up would be, a prioritization plan of how you would make determinations based on a prioritization plan of how to spend the money. Because when it gets to the finances itself, that's always, you have a directive in town, I believe, of how you spend money for large projects, which Jane had forwarded to me to read. But that's what we just started talking about last night, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
You have that back.
And thank you for what you're doing. So I think we're done.
I have one quick question. Because Curtis Library came up, and it is on secret ballot, we're presuming the Budget Committee recommended that amount?
We did.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure, because it sounded like maybe there was a little bit of
Mandated.
discussion.
Contract.
It's a mandate.
You have to.
Contract.
Well, but you as a
No.
committee, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't making an assumption that you all supported the requests from Curtis after a little bit of the discussion today. You all did, though. Okay, thanks.
It wasn't just a
Yes,
rubber
and I
stamp.
wish- I'll just say this, I wish committee members would bring it up when we're talking about it, instead of at this point when we're, 'cause
just
I was
wanted to make sure it
understanding
was
that,
clear.
yeah. Okay,
All right.
thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
thank you, people.
Thank you, Linda.